Hello all, A Knife's Tale here, bringing you a knife review, though this is more of an overview as I have not used this knife particularly much. I have carried it, like, twice, but I haven't used this knife a whole lot. And that's because we're going completely insane today with a Herman. And, not just any Herman. This is the crazy Herman, as you can see. And it gets crazier from there. So, what are we looking at? We're looking at full Damascus with this deep blue, black, orange kind of colorway. You can sort of see it there. We're looking at deep etched, because you can feel all of this, DLC polished flats, the little indentations in the etches right here sort of have a matte to them. Damasteel. Yeah, this one's a bit crazy. This is a Herman Slim. And, yeah. Tad bit crazy. Alright, I just stopped the video for a second there. It was just for a second for you guys, but for me it was a couple minutes. I had to do something. Where were we? Introduction of the Herman Slim in absolute crazy full dress. Let's do specs, I guess. I mean, what else can be said about this? Blade length is 3 3/4 to... It's actually it's a hair over 3 3/4, but it's really close. The overall length is just a notch under 8 7/8. So let's call that 8.8, and the actual blade length almost 3.8. The handle length in total is almost 5 inches on the dot. This is a sizable knife, even though it does not feel or present or function like one. Let us make a quick comparison. Get the calipers out of the way, though I will be bringing them in soon enough. Comparison to the Civivi Elementum. And the full-size knife comparison being the Civivi Conspirator. And as you can see, yes, this is a much larger knife than either of them. It is longer. It's about as thick, maybe not quite as thick as the Conspirator, but it's a big knife. It does fold up into a nice slim package, hence the name, I guess, Slim, but it's not a small knife. It is... I'm not going to call this a large knife. You could argue that it is. It's right at that, like, 3 3/4 blade length. But it doesn't feel at all like a large knife. It feels very deft. Speaking of the calipers, it is contoured titanium. At 486 thousandths, so under half an inch. The blade stock, 120 thousandths. And behind the edge on this knife, if I remember correctly, all Herman knives are done on a fixed angle system. .008 behind the edge. Yeah, it's really thin. It's really thin. Really, really thin. Moving to weight. Zero out you. 4.9 ounces, so it's basically a 5-ounce knife, which is fine. Yes, it's got... can you see them in there? It's kind of hard because of the way the finish is. The camera doesn't want to play nice with it. It's got weight-relieving pockets, and it's not a heavy knife. But, I mean, it's a solid knife. It's full titanium. It's kind of what you'd expect it to be. The hardware is... That's one thing I don't love. The hardware back here is T6. And the pivot's custom. Though you probably could make a T20 fit, is my guess. Let's see real fast. Or maybe a T25. No. I think I was right the first time. Yes, you can make a T20 fit in there, but they have a custom tool that comes with it that fits even better. I just use that. And I haven't taken this knife apart, but yeah, I don't like seeing the T6s. But again, I'm not really going to put this knife through the testing like I would others. Just not that kind of knife. What is that? Nothing. I'm imagining things. Alright. I feel like I'm forgetting one of the specs. No? No, I don't think I am. Alright, so. The Herman Slim in Crazy Dress. It's a Herman, so it's already great. The action's great. It's on bearings. The blade is crazy thin, and in this case, really crazy, just full on. What the heck? I've never seen this done to Damascene steel before. And it looks awesome. The deep areas where it's more of this foggy matte, and the polished upper flats areas, yeah, that is just gorgeous. The flipper tab it's a little pokey, but it works good. It works fine. It's not like it's a problem or anything. The awesome Damascus. I don't think this is Zircuti. I think it's just regular Damascus. I'm pretty positive, in fact. I don't know what he did, but it's heat anode and colored in a very unique way. And it's milled, and it feels, well, it feels as good as it looks. Yeah, it does. It's amazing. Full Damascus backspacer and clip. Got an inset liner lock with great access. Nice chamfering, a little tiny bit of texture up there. The action being completely insane. Slow, controlled drop shut. I will say that this one has a slightly lighter detent than the other two Hermans I've handled. But it still sings. and it's, I mean, you could fail this one because of the detent being light, but it's just, it's not really that big of a deal. It still functions really, really well. It's just a lighter detent. It is perfectly centered. There is no play. I like how they have the screws from one side sticking completely through the titanium. That just looks good. Even on a dressed up like knife like this. These, on this particular knife, I guess they could be sharp on maybe just a regular titanium, but the way this is finished and executed, these are just nice and rounded. They're points, but they're comfortable. They're not a bad thing at all. The ergos are wonderful. I mean, perfect? Almost? Almost. Very close. They're great in pretty much any way you want to use this knife. Even choked way up here, doing this sort of gorilla grip thing. They're pretty good. I can feel the clip a bit in this position, but just basic push gorilla grip. Yeah, it's good. It's great. Let's be clear. The only complaint I think I have on Herman's in general is the way their clips are done. And that's because the clip seems to be on an upward incline as it gets out, so it's a little taller here than it is here, and this tends to be just a little bit pokey. So, in the hand, in certain ways of grip, I mean, for the most part, it's ultra comfortable, and you pretty much, it almost disappears. But I will say that on some of the knives, like my Mantis, the front here is a little sharp, and it sticks up just a little bit higher than the rest of the clip, so you feel that occasionally. It's still like 9 out of 10 wonderful. It's just occasionally, if you adjust or something, you can get that little feeling of its presence there as an anomaly. Even when on the one where it is actually technically a bit sharper, this one is more knocked down, it's still somehow not uncomfortable, but it is there. That's the only thing I guess I could critique. Oh, and this clip is really stiff. Like, really stiff. Like, that hurt my finger. Yeah, that's a stiff one. It's not the friendliest in and out of the pocket. It works better than it probably seems like it would, being that stiff, but it's stiff. Beyond that, though, this is an absurdly beautiful sort of semi-custom CNC custom knife. Made in Poland. Proudly, apparently. I will say that I have a little bit of an interesting story with this one. I got this knife, and of course this is a ridiculously expensive knife. Just don't even ask. Oh, the plunge grind is amazing. It's back here. But I got this knife, and I'm looking it over because I pulled it out of the box, and it's like, holy crap, that's nice. And I look, and as I move it, something catches my eye. A little dark spot. And I run my hand against the finger against the edge, and I feel a couple little bumps. Dull, sort of, not quite chips, but usage on the edge. Which flabbergasts me, considering my other Herman came with none of that. I've never heard that. I know they do specifically, like I said, a fixed angle system on the knives. There's no way this should be there. So I end up reaching out to Polish Custom Knives that I got this knife from. and we talk about it for a little while, and we come to the conclusion that it was very almost impossible that this knife left in this condition. Like, right, you're not gonna leave where every other part of the blade is perfect, and you have just this like one hint here and one hint here of slightly raggediness on the blade. Or it's right here. It's like a chip, not a chip, but it's a little, yeah, it's almost a chip. Where the rest of the knife is executed like this, and they do consistent knives that perform amazingly, I don't believe it. So we sort of came to the conclusion that it was probably U.S. Customs that did that. They saw a knife come in with a huge duties and high value, and they took it out and saw that it was a knife. I'm thinking they used my knife. just because I guess they couldn't resist. Cause yeah, I just don't believe that. I think highly enough of the Herman knives that they're probably not leaving the shop in this condition. And this doesn't look like, oh, you just messed up the edge. This looks like it was used on something. And maybe when you were cutting, you hit something, and it put a little nick in the blade in two areas. So I'm thinking U.S. Customs got me. And got to test my knife before I did. It's still sharp, even with those little tiny nicks in there, and I haven't used it enough to put a new edge on it. But I guess that's something you should take into consideration if you ever get something through customs. If it piques their interest enough, they technically, and they see it's something odd, especially a knife, they probably can find an excuse to open it and possibly play with it. But, other than that, this thing is amazing. It's gorgeous. It's way too expensive, but as a person who absolutely loves knives and gets joy out of the knives beyond just function or ownership even, this is awesome. And I'm more than happy. Well, I'm not happy to pay this kind of money, but I'm more than willing to pay this kind of money on occasion. Maybe when I save up for it or something like that. Because, yeah, this is like a $3,300 knife. So it actually might have been a $3,500 knife. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. It's mine now. It ain't going anywhere because I really do love it. So we have the Herman Slim in Damasteel, DLC, Timascus, all the bells and whistles. It's wonderful. It's a crazy one. That's all. If you stuck around for a while, like and subscribe maybe, comment down below. I know most people probably wouldn't even consider buying a knife like this, and I don't blame them one bit. But, yeah. I'm not one of those people. See you later, guys.